Hi, welcome back to the Gemara, the continuation of the Gemara on Bet Amud Bet. We're going to set up a question with the word bishlama, one of your vocabulary words, same structure as we had before, setting up a question. Bishlama latana didan, hainu dichtiv, medina medina, ve'ir ve'ir. It makes sense, all is well, according to our Tana, meaning the Tana of our Mishnah, because this is why it is written Medina Medina, that this should be celebrated in every city and city, and ir va'ir, or I guess Medina Medina, every location, every state, and every city. Medina Medina, lechalek bein mukfin chomam himot Yeshua ben Nun, lemukefet chomam himot Achashverosh. Medina Medina, those words, which I'll also put in quotes, that distinguishes between cities that were walled from the days of Yehoshua and cities that were walled from the days of Achashverosh. That's a distinction. I'm going to go ahead and put this verse in yellow before I forget. Ir va'ir, nami. And the word city and city, to distinguish between different cities, that also comes to distinguish between Shushan and the other cities, Lashar Ayarot, and other cities. In other words, for our Tana, it works out well. You have to make two levels of distinction. Medina, Medina, ve'ir, ve'ir. You have to distinguish between the places that were walled from the days of Yehoshua and the places that were walled in the days of Achashverosh. And you have to distinguish between Shushan and every place else, because Shushan is an exception. It's in its own category. You read on the 15th, even though it wasn't walled from the days of Yehoshua ben Nun. Ella, here comes our question. Rather, the Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, according to Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, Bishlama Medina Medina, Medina Medina makes sense. Those words work for his reading. Lechalek bein Shushan l'shar ayarot, to distinguish between Shushan and other cities, meaning Shushan which has the wall and the other cities which don't. Ella, however, or rather, ir va'ir, the words ir va'ir, lemai ata. For what do they come? What are they coming to teach us? Amar lecha Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha would say to you, he would answer, this is the answer to the question, but it's not directly coming from Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. He's not allowed to speak here because he's a Tana, but the Stama is telling you, here's what Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha would say in answer to that challenge. Ulatana didan minicha. It's a counter question. And for our Tana, is it really nicha? Is it really good? Meaning, you have a question on me, but I'm going to give you a counter question and tell you why it doesn't work out so well for him either. Kevan to itlay praze, medina medina lamali. Let me give that 2 question marks. Since he has praze, he has the gzera shava of praze that tells you about the unwalled cities. Medina medina lamali. Why does he need medina medina, right? He doesn't need a distinction. He doesn't need a separate verse to teach about a distinction between walled and unwalled cities, because he already has that verse of praze. Ella kra l'drasha hu da'ata. Rather, the verse comes for a drasha. This verse in Megillah comes for you to learn something else out of it. Ukid Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. And it is like Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, meaning the drasha that we're going to get from this verse supports or works well with something that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said. Oops, sorry, the comma doesn't go there. Huda'ata. Ukid Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi huda'ata. It comes in accordance with Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. It's Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, because here's what Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said. Krach v'kol hasamuchlo v'kol haniraimo nidon kekrach. A city and everything that is adjacent to it and everything that may be seen from it is considered a krach. In other words, this verse is coming to teach us about the parameters of spaces, and it's still considered part of the city, even if it's sort of a suburb of that city. It's samuchlo, it's adjacent to it, or it can be seen from within that city. It's still considered part of that city for the purposes of deciding the day of Megillah reading. Then the Gemara has a question. Ad kama. How far does this extend? How far beyond the city limits can you go and still consider it part of the city? Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah, v'itema Rabbi Chia bar Abba. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, and some say that it was Rabbi Chia bar Abba who actually said the statement, Kimachamatan l'Tveria mil. Like the distance between a place called Chamatan and a place called Tveria. Hamatan was a suburb of Tveria. Mil, that's the distance. Velema mil. I'm going to give that a question mark, exclamation point. Okay, so if it means a meal, just say a meal. Don't say like from this place to this place. That's makes it more complicated to understand. Hakamashmalan teshira zemil kama have kima chamatan l'Tveria. So this whole thing is the response. It's coming to teach you, hakamashmalan, it's coming to teach us that how much is a meal. If you didn't know how much a meal was, now you will. It's like the distance between Hamatan and Tveria. So that's the response. Again, my last question to you, go through and chart this out also. It is definitely a complicated Gemara in terms of understanding exactly what's being said, but try not to get confused by the details. Try to go through the question and response. Even that is a little tricky here because the questions are long, often preceded by the part that works, right, the Bishlama part, before you get to the Ella. But try to go through and break it up, question, answer, and write that out. You can send it to me by email, you can hand it in a hard copy, whatever works for you.